Now, one of the more recent news items is President Barack Obama stating that in the next 5 years, which would actually be out of his first term, so it would have to assume a re-election in 2012, but he said in the next 5 years, his goal, the goal of his administration, is to double the amount of exports that is created in the United States. Yourself and many others have said that a lower dollar would help alleviate this export problem, and it would create more incentive for foreigners to buy American goods and for American manufacturers to produce goods. But there seem to be a few flaws in the policy of doubling exports. Specifically, the White House hasn't said that it's going to devalue currency in order to do it. They haven't delineated anything that they plan on doing. Can the U.S. double exports, and if so, would the rest of the world be able to buy them, be willing to buy them? Is this a policy that could save the jobs that it's supposed to save?
It's a nice thought, but as you imply in your question, it's unrealistic. Certainly, the United States should be striving in this direction and pressing other nations to import more. It should be trying to increase its exports. But as you've implied, there's more rhetoric to this than reality. It's hard to see where these exports are going to come from. The key point here is that America's export industries of 30, 40 years ago, those export industries then were so strong. And these days, they're either entirely eliminated, the industries have entirely disappeared, gone abroad, or they are very weak and basically are outsourcing from China, from Japan, Korea, etc.
Now, in your most recent major publication, In the Jaws of the Dragon, you talk about how the United States will deal with an era of Chinese dominance, not just dominance in the U.S.-China relationship, but almost on a global scale. The Chinese manufacturing industry, the Chinese ability to produce, and the eventual growth of Chinese consumerism will eventually usurp the United States, and they'll become the apex, the zenith of global economics. What are some of the main points that you would like to address from your book?
I think a key point that people don't understand about East Asia is that the East Asians have a very different economic system in the sense that they suppress consumption. By suppressing consumption, they boost the savings rate. The enormous torrential flows of savings are then directed by the government through the banking system into targeted industries. Industries such as, in the case of Japan years ago, first textiles, then semiconductors and electronics and so on. Most recently, in Japan's case, capital equipment of all sorts. In the case of China, we're seeing electronics these days, textiles and so on. We can expect the Chinese to move forward in future years. They'll be into capital goods. They'll be competing at the top of the pyramid of manufacturing within the next 20 years. But basically, the capital to do this is coming from a very different economic policy that boosts savings. That's my key point.